I have no memory of the week. The last thing I remember is hanging the piñata up on last Saturday, at Maryville's. I remember feeling extremely thirsty, and I remember telling Brandy my legs felt weak underneath me. After that, I have no memory of driving. They said I continued to feed. I drove home. I woke up Tuesday. I went to sleep Saturday night. I woke up Tuesday in my house, scared, bruising all on my arms as if somebody had grabbed me. My memory is completely erased. I still can't remember.
And social media star and nonprofit founder Shirley Raines has died.
Hello. Hey, my love. How you doing,
All
King?
right, I'm doing good. How
Good
are
to
you?
see you, baby.
Thank you.
Known to millions on TikTok simply as Miss Shirley, Raines helped to feed and care for homeless people on Skid Row in Los Angeles and elsewhere in California and Nevada. She began the work in 2017 following the death of one of her 6 children.
Did y'all hear about the Shirley Raines case? Because the details surrounding her sudden death are not adding up, and the more people look into it, the more unsettling it feels. After it was announced that Shirley passed away at just 58 years old, the internet immediately started revisiting her recent videos. What people noticed right away was alarming. She looked completely healthy just a day before, full of life, coherent, present. Then suddenly, she was gone. No warning, no clear explanation, just an abrupt ending that left too many unanswered questions. As viewers went through her content more closely, a troubling pattern emerged. Shirley had been expressing fear, not vague anxiety, but the kind of fear that suggests she believed someone was coming after her. That detail alone has people asking the obvious question: what was Shirley afraid of, and why? It's one thing to grieve a sudden loss, but it's another when that loss is wrapped in signs of distress that were visible in real time. What makes this hit even harder is Shirley's backstory. She wasn't just a content creator. She was a woman who had lived through real hardship. Shirley experienced homelessness while she and her husband struggled to provide for their family. When things reached the breaking point, she made the heartbreaking decision to send her son to live with his grandmother, hoping it would give her time to get back on her feet. Tragically, that decision ended in disaster. Drugs were left accessible in the home, and her son took them. He didn't survive. That loss shattered Shirley. She was left carrying immense guilt, constantly questioning whether her son would still be alive if she had been able to give him stability. From that point on, she struggled with panic attacks, anxiety, and deep emotional pain. Knowing all of this, her sudden death doesn't just feel sad. It feels heavy, confusing, and unresolved. And that's why so many people are struggling to accept the story as it's being told.
It was very hard. The woman who had given me so much in life was also the cause of my greatest loss. And how do you rationalize that as a 20-year-old? I fell apart. I was very self-sabotaging. I couldn't keep anything together. The world looked at me and thought probably the same thing they think about the homeless when they pass them by. Nobody really knew what I'd been through, what I was going through. After my son died, I had no control over a lot of things. But I can control how long my eyelashes were. I can control the color of my hair. My sister kept on saying, you have to find a purpose for this pain, Shirley.
What made Miss Shirley truly special was how she transformed unimaginable pain into purpose. Instead of letting trauma consume her, she redirected it into something life-changing for others. In 2017, she founded her nonprofit organization, Beauty to the Streets, with one clear mission: to bring dignity, hope, and visibility to people experiencing homelessness. Shirley wasn't just talking about change. She was outside every week doing the work. If you ever saw long lines of people gathered on Skid Row in Los Angeles or in homeless communities across Nevada and California, chances are Shirley was right there in the middle of it. She provided hot meals, hygiene kits, clothing, beauty services, and something just as important: her voice. She listened to people who were often ignored, advocated for those pushed aside, and treated everyone she met like they mattered. To the community, she wasn't just a helper, she was family. Her impact didn't go unnoticed. In 2021, Shirley was honored with CNN's Hero of the Year award, a recognition that solidified what so many already knew: she was making a real difference. Everywhere she went, she left people better than she found them. That's why news of her sudden passing hit so hard. It felt wrong, unsettling, and deeply unfair. Shortly after her death, her team released a statement expressing gratitude for the overwhelming love and prayers pouring in for her beloved CEO, Miss Shirley Raines. They asked the public to keep her family, her team, and the countless individuals who depended on her in their thoughts and prayers as arrangements are made. Shirley gave everything she had to others, and now people everywhere are grieving the loss of someone who truly embodied compassion and service.
Thank you, my baby. I don't wish this on nobody.
Shirley absolutely got her flowers while she was alive, and that's one of the few comforting parts of this entire situation. So many people don't receive recognition until they're gone, but Shirley was celebrated, honored, and loved in real time. Seeing people now uplift her legacy feels like a continuation of the love she was already surrounded by, not a delayed apology. From awards to public praise to the gratitude of the communities she served, Shirley knew her work mattered, and that matters so much now. In the days following her passing, social media flooded with videos, photos, and testimonials from people whose lives she touched. Former unhoused individuals shared how she helped them feel human again. Volunteers talked about how she inspired them to give more of themselves. Even people who never met her personally felt connected to her spirit because her work was so visible and genuine. It wasn't performative charity, it was hands-on, consistent, and rooted in real empathy. What stands out most is how unified the response has been. There's grief, yes, but there's also deep respect. People aren't just mourning her death, they're honoring her mission. Donations to Beauty to the Streets surged. Others are pledging to continue her outreach, to show up where she once did, and to keep her vision alive. That's legacy in its purest form. At the same time, the suddenness of her passing still leaves unanswered questions, and that tension hasn't gone away. You can celebrate someone and still want clarity. Both can exist at once. Shirley's life was impactful, meaningful, and full of purpose. And while her absence hurts deeply, the way people are rallying around her name proves one thing for sure. She didn't just change lives, she changed hearts, and that doesn't disappear.
Shirley Raines, founder of Beauty to the Streets, incredible woman, passed away.
But what I can do is feed them and do their hair and give them some love and do their makeup.
She would always send me messages of love, and she never, ever asked for any.
Still, Shirley's passing feels like a clear case of someone being taken far too soon. And that's where the confusion and concern really set in. People immediately started pointing out that they had seen her just days before, out on the streets passing out hot dogs and snacks like she always did. She looked healthy, energized, and in good spirits. Nothing about her behavior suggested someone on the brink of death. That contrast is what made the news hit so hard. According to official reports, Shirley was found unresponsive in her home after police conducted a welfare check. When they entered her bedroom, there were no visible signs of a struggle, no cuts, no overturned furniture, nothing that immediately pointed to foul play. What they did find, however, raised eyebrows, a finished plate of food, and a single white pill lying near her pillow. That detail alone has left many people unsettled. Shirley had openly spoken in the past about taking Prozac, a commonly prescribed antidepressant, to manage her panic disorder. She had reportedly been on the medication for years without issue. That's why people are questioning how, if this was the same medication she'd been taking for over 6 years, it could suddenly cause a fatal reaction now. The autopsy report has not clearly stated whether she was actively taking it at the time of her death, which only adds to the uncertainty. What makes the situation even more unsettling are a few videos Shirley posted shortly before she passed. She rarely spoke about her personal life online, keeping her focus on service and outreach. But around late September, she shared that she had spent nearly 13 hours in the hospital, undergoing tests only to be told by doctors that she had been drugged. Shirley made it clear she didn't use drugs, so hearing that an unknown substance had entered her system deeply frightened her. Looking back now, that moment feels impossible to ignore.
13 hours in Long Beach Memorial Medical Center. As you can see, most of my face piercings have been cut out. After seeing 2 doctors, 2 nurses, CAT scan, metabolic panel, EKG, all the testing and questions. They can only deduce that somehow I was drugged. What was it? We'll never know. The body absorbs it quickly, they said. By the time I woke up, it was no longer detectable. They said even if I saved my vomit, like I said I should have, they said it wouldn't have been detected in that. It has to come from you.
According to the doctors, Shirley was told that whatever substance entered her system had been absorbed by her body extremely fast. By the time she regained full awareness, it was already close to undetectable in her bloodstream. That alone was terrifying because it meant there were very few answers and no clear explanation for how it happened. Shirley openly shared how shaken she was by that news, explaining that she had large gaps in her memory and genuinely could not recall what had happened to her during that time. She described waking up confused, disoriented, and scared, knowing something wasn't right but unable to piece together the details. For someone who is usually sharp, present, and deeply aware of her surroundings, that loss of memory was alarming. Shirley admitted that the experience left her feeling vulnerable in a way she hadn't felt before. She didn't know where she had been, who she had been with, or how the substance got into her body in the first place. What troubled people even more is that Shirley wasn't someone who partied, used drugs, or put herself in risky situations. Her life revolved around service, routine, and helping others. So the idea that she could be drugged without her knowledge raised serious questions. She spoke about how unsettling it was to realize that someone could do something like that to her and walk away without consequences, especially when there was no clear evidence left behind. After that hospital visit, Shirley tried to move forward and stay focused on her work, but those close to her say she never fully shook the fear from that incident. She carried on helping others, but the uncertainty lingered in the background. Looking back now, many people feel that moment was a warning sign, one that didn't get the attention or answers it deserved.
For me, it's just the unanswered questions: who, what, when, where, why. But I praise God for his protection. I'm grateful that I was able to vomit and get that all out of there.
And girl, when Shirley first spoke about this, a lot of people immediately tried to explain it away. Folks online suggested that maybe Shirley accidentally came into contact with fentanyl because she worked so closely with unhoused communities every single day. Others speculated that repeated exposure somehow caused her body to absorb a substance through her skin. But the problem with those theories is that they don't line up with what Shirley was actually experiencing. Based on the symptoms she described, doctors and medical professionals online pointed out that the substance would have had to be ingested, inhaled, or taken in at a much higher level to affect her that way. Casual contact simply wouldn't explain it. And this wasn't a one-time incident. Not long before she passed, Shirley posted another video that was even more alarming. She explained that she had completely blacked out and woke up with no memory of an entire week of her life. The only thing she could recall were physical sensations. She said she felt extremely thirsty, weak, and disoriented, and her legs felt so unstable that standing was difficult. That alone was terrifying. According to Shirley, she returned home on a Saturday night, but when she finally became fully aware again, it was Tuesday morning. Days had disappeared. What made it even more disturbing was that she noticed bruises on her arms, the kind that looked like someone had grabbed her. When she went to the hospital seeking answers, doctors told her it was already too late to determine what had been in her system. She couldn't remember where she had been, who she had been with, or what had happened during that missing time. No matter how hard she tried, her memory just wasn't there, leaving her confused, scared, and without answers.
I have no memory of the week. The last thing I remember is hanging the piñata up on last Saturday, at Maryville's. I remember feeling extremely thirsty, and I remember telling Brandy my legs felt weak underneath me. After that, I have no memory of driving. They said I continued to feed. I drove home. I woke up Tuesday. I went to sleep Saturday night. I woke up Tuesday in my house, scared, bruising all on my arms as if somebody had grabbed me. My memory is completely erased. I still can't remember.
And what makes this even harder to sit with is the fact that up until the very end, Shirley never got answers. She never knew what caused her to pass out, what led to the memory loss, or why her body kept failing her in such frightening ways. She was left confused, scared, and searching for help while still showing up for others. Now, in the aftermath of her passing, some sources and supporters are questioning whether all of this was truly random at all. People were asking if what happened to Shirley may have been intentional, calculated, or at the very least, grossly overlooked. Her platform was growing fast, her visibility was increasing. In a short amount of time, Shirley brought national attention to homelessness, addiction, mental health, and the systemic failures hurting some of the most vulnerable people in America. She was everywhere, on Skid Row, in shelters, online, and eventually on major news networks. Not everyone expected her to gain that kind of traction, and not everyone benefits when uncomfortable truths are put front and center. That's why some believe she may have become a problem for people who would rather see those issues ignored. What's fueling concern is how many questions remain unanswered. What substance entered her system? How did it get there? Why were there signs of physical distress and bruising? Why did her hospital visits never lead to clarity or protection? Shirley spoke publicly about being scared and not knowing what was happening to her body, yet no deeper investigation seems to have followed. To many, it feels like she was asking for help in plain sight, and no one stepped in before it was too late. Sadly, this isn't the first time people have drawn parallels to other Black community leaders and advocates who gained momentum, uplifted their communities, and then suddenly disappeared or died under unclear circumstances. Whether coincidence or something more, the pattern alone is enough to make people uneasy. At the very least, Shirley's case deserved urgency, care, and thorough investigation. What cannot be questioned is who she was. Shirley Raines took her own immense pain, loss, and struggle and transformed it into purpose. She saw humanity where others looked away. She answered a calling to serve people facing unimaginable hardship, and she did it with compassion, dignity, and consistency. Her impact was real, her love was real, and her legacy will not be forgotten. Rest in power, Miss Shirley Raines. Thank you for everything you gave. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you were touched by her work, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.